Here is a 2024 Cadillac XT6 Premium Luxury in crystal white over dark auburn and jet black accents. This is the sweet spot for the XT6 in the sense that you're getting most of the same features that you would get in the Sport, excluding the hood, the upgraded brakes. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to explain the differences between the trims, some comparable rivals and pros and cons. Up front gets standard LED headlights and daytime runnings. And what I like about the Cadillac stance is it sets itself apart from anybody. So if you're looking at a Genesis, a BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Cadillac has that bold, sporty style. We're not going to get the Sport hood because this is not the Sport trim. Gloss black elements go in the interior with the satin aluminum that's going to be around the grille. The lower gets the gloss black with the satin aluminum, nearly 7 inches of clearance, no air suspension, and we're not getting an adaptive suspension. We're getting a 3.6 liter V6 naturally aspirated VVT that produces 310 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, achieving 19 mpgs for the city and 26 mpgs for the highway, reaching 60 in the mid 6 seconds. And because this is not the Sport trim, we're getting a 20-inch 12-spoke polished alloy wheels. No Brembo brakes are set behind this, which is one of the upgrades in the Sport trim. The Premium Luxury will have the same brakes as all of them with the 12.6 vent in the front and 12.4 inches ventilated in the rear. You're going to receive more chrome when you're getting into the Premium or the Premium Luxury with the XT6 badging, and that would really be the only change that I would look for. If I'm going for the Sport trim, it's because you're going to be getting the gloss black elements, not necessarily because I'm getting the Brembo brakes, because stopping 70 to 0 is around 170 feet. You're not going to really be doing a lot of performance with this type of vehicle with this naturally aspirated V6. Towing up to 4,000 pounds, which is the big con for me, because when you're looking at a vehicle that's in the 60 grand pricing, I really would have liked Cadillac to up it to at least 5,000 or 6,000 pounds. And I understand why they do it, because then why would you option an Escalade? This is basically the baby Escalade and giving you the same performance style looks without the length or the width. And another difference will be the rear LED taillights. You're not getting that huge light bar like you would get in an Escalade. So I like that it's a little bit more contemporary instead of over the top, because it would just swallow the whole rear. The lower gets the gloss black with the dual exhaust chrome tips, and you get the gloss black that's going to finish around the lower roof spoiler, and the rear windshield wiper stays tucked underneath. Power liftgate going into 12.6 cubic feet of storage. And what I like about Cadillac is this little bin here. You can remove it so it's easy to clean. And when you do that, you got the tire tucked underneath here. And they do a good job in the sense of making it easy with just 2 clips on each side. And the same thing over here, it's waterproof because water's not gonna go everywhere. You can fold down the second row in the back, but you gotta hold the buttons. It's gonna increase cargo to 43.1 cubic feet, in which that opens up for the 12-volt charger. Split fold or fold down the captain seats. That's going to maximize cargo to 78.1 cubic feet. It does sit up a little bit, but that's also to be expected because of the clearance. Let's go inside and start the VVT V6 so you can hear that exhaust note. Ten-way power seat adjustment for the front, heated. You get to this tier, you're going to get ventilated seats. Add the premium package, and you can get semi-aniline leather upholstery, memory for the driver. Headroom and legroom. The XT6 starts off with the wood inlays and the satin aluminum that brush into the air vents, 8-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. They're both wireless. Navigation, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio with My Cadillac. Put it into reverse. You have a reverse camera with full trajectory. On the top tier, you'll just notice that it's more simple and plain. 14-speaker Bose sound system because of the tier we're in. The bass will get an 8-speaker. You get a little tray here that you can put the key fob, the gloss black and the satin aluminum that goes into the gauge cluster area with a TFT display that goes through an array of information for the driver. The only con that I have here is when you're pushing to the right all the way, it doesn't go back. You have to actually push left in order to go back through the gauges. The tachodometer will be analog. Tri-climate control settings is going to be standard with a storage pocket, and we're going to show you the sliding. It's coming. I would just grease this up maybe with some Armor All or maybe some Vaseline. But once it gets to about the middle, it usually, there she goes, closes up seamlessly. And here's the key fob for the 24 XT6. Gloss black around the shifter and the mouse that's derived for the infotainment screen. It's soft to touch, opens up into two USB ports and that SD card holder. I like how they have area here. You can run wires, lift that up. It's a deeper storage pocket. Close it up, and you have your wireless charging pad, and all the wires can go underneath. Driving mode select, when you click onto it, you have Tour, Sport, Snow, and Ice. A pass-through, which is going to be more usable for the passenger because you have a 12-volt charger right here. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, 3-spoke heated multi-function. And you got the gloss black and the satin aluminum with the paddle shifters. The door panel goes into the dashboard. I like the sporty Q that goes into play with the wood, the satin aluminum, soft touch where it needs to be, one touch up and down for the front windows, in a smaller width of a storage pocket, but you can fit some beverages and maybe a flask, and you can adjust the height to the tailgate with auto-dimming rear view mirror and a large panel moonroof that goes to the second row. Headroom for the second row, and leg room, storage behind both of the front seats, third climate control heated rear seats, USBs, open this up for cup holders and a storage tier. I like the pass through because it does make it easy for somebody to get out quick. You don't have to adjust the seats. And the door panel is going to get the Bose sound system in the front, contrast stitching, and it's going to be soft where it needs to be. A smaller storage pocket that you can fit maybe one beverage holder. Because these are captain seats, you can also recline them back so you can relax. And you can adjust this, which doesn't necessarily adjust and stay, but you can also adjust the seats forward, in which it would make it a little bit tight for me to sit. And this is going to be the way we're going to sit to show you the third row. To enter into the third row, pull and slide. It's going to be a little bit more tight for somebody that's 6 foot tall, but it's still easy enough once you get 1 foot in. I'm going to slide this back. The rails are pushed back, but because there's only 2 people sitting back here, it's not a problem. We do get a cup holder, and my legs are kind of against there with a USB port, air vents in the ceiling, and headroom. So for 6 people, you could fit 2 adults in the third row if you need to. Now there is a turbocharged option for cylinder, but the VVT V6 naturally aspirated engine is a sweet spot. 310 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and you're still achieving pretty decent MPGs for a mid-size SUV, and you're not having to go to the larger variant, meaning the Escalade. And this is what I mean by the power. The exhaust filters in, it feels athletic, and it feels bold. So I like the drive to that. Maneuverability, you can get in and out. Visibility is good, nearly 7 inches of clearance. The windows are quite big around the whole vehicle. And 6 passengers in each row have pretty decent space for the size of this. Now getting into the third row is a con for me because it's a pretty tight little entrance, and because they have power seat down for the second row, I would like to see power seat all round. And that's going to take me to some pros and cons, starting off with the pros. You don't have to go Escalade. You can get pretty much the same luxury element here. It's not going to be as comfortable. It's not going to have as much tech, but I like the tech setup. I dislike the way the 8-inch screen is because it's pushed forward, in which the sun does give a little bit of a glare to it. Not a huge fan of because it just has a little TFT display that, like I was showing on the interior, you have to actually use the buttons to go back the other way. It doesn't just reset. But going back to some pros, ventilated front seats become a standard option when you get into the premium luxury. That's why this is the sweet spot. You don't want to get the Brembo brakes. I like the hood for the Sport and the gloss black elements, but I would probably choose this trim and just do a chrome delete. So that way I'm not spending more money on upgraded brakes, because like I was saying on the exterior, braking 70 to 0, it's around 170 feet. That's pretty good for a mid-size SUV. You're not taking this on the track, so to add Brembo brakes, a little bit of an overkill. You can always powder coat or paint the calipers red, and then you have kind of the same element. Yes, there is a little bit more difference between them, but when you're looking for something that's under 60 grand, it's really hard to fit that profile. Some other cons, the towing is not the best in class. 4,000 pounds, and Cadillac is the best in class for GMC. So I would have liked to see at least 5,000 pounds. So that way it's kind of with the rivals. Because me personally, when I went and bought my new SUV, I got an Infiniti QX60. Towing's at 6,000 pounds when you get the all-wheel drive. Otherwise, 3,500 pounds. So it is kind of at that ballpark number. But when you're going all-wheel drive, you want it to at least be right with the rivals. And then for interior space, this actually has better leg and headroom for the third row opposed to my Infiniti. But cargo capacity is better in the Infiniti. As for luxury amenities, you will have to spend about $10,000 more in order to get a lot of the features that I got for my Infiniti, like massage seats. Here, it's going to be a little bit less expensive, but you're not getting as many power seat adjustments either. Comparing it against the Volvo XC60, it's one of my favorite blends when you get to the recharge, because you have a lot of power underneath. The 0 to 60 is 4.5 seconds. It's crazy. It beats pretty much everybody in its class. But as for interior specs, it's going to be a little bit smaller. You'd have to go to the XC90, in which you're getting 5 seconds 0 to 60 for that recharge, which is still fine, but the third row is still super tight compared to this. In cargo capacity, this is going to be a touch more. Going against BMW, the X7, that's going to be a lot more money. You're going to be spending nearly a his and her getting an XT6. So there's not really a point of comparing it. Same thing when you go into Mercedes-Benz, and the service is also going to be more pricey with those. And turn radius and more or less a stop point, right at 2 lanes. Let's give her a go. And as for the dynamics, this is front wheel drive, so when I was doing some little bit of maneuvering there, I did feel it a little bit more so, because obviously it's the front wheels that's moving the vehicle. Overall, it is a quiet drive. You will be hearing the engine because it's going to be hitting more at 2.5 to 3 RPMs pretty much everywhere you're going. I like the width, and they did a good job giving more storage capacity because you have a full pass-through here. The best part about the XT6 is it's not so big, because when I was looking at SUVs, we considered the Escalade, and that is almost a his and her price for this when you're considering options and features. And it feels a lot longer, wider, and taller, even though the clearance is around 8 inches. So it's not a significant difference from clearance in this. So it's a little bit more easy to get in and out. I guess the big con here would be that the infotainment screen and the gauge cluster hasn't been refreshed. I'm not saying throw a 33-inch Lyric screen here or go Escalade style, but I'm saying refresh it a little bit. That way it keeps the vehicle fresh and up to date as the rest of the line. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Cadillac Lakeland for giving us this 2024 Cadillac XT6 Premium Luxury for our car review.